Last week on my podcast, me and my friend were talking about Andor Season 2 as well as Rogue One. We really were just talking about how our feelings and emotions after seeing the brilliance of the show. Truly a masterpiece orchestrated by Tony Gilroy. Towards the end of the podcast, one of my segments was, what do we envision the future to be for the Star Wars universe? From our discussion, I feel that I have a very in-depth answer that really made me want to create a video about this topic and explain more and really flesh it out and how it can become into reality. First, let's identify what made Andor such a great television show. Andor wasn't only a good Star Wars TV show, it was also a great television show, and I believe that people who aren't interested in the galactic battles of the Star Wars universe would also really enjoy Andor. That's because the story writing is amazing, the characters are well developed, and the overall setting is so immersive that you feel like you're transported to a different world where these battles are of the utmost importance. I mean, we are living in a time where we have leaders who are almost tyrannical, and so these themes and motifs that Andor explores are relevant now more than ever. One thing that Tony Gilroy prided himself on is making a story that's grounded in the realism and the humanity of each of his characters. None of his characters are Jedis or Force sensitive that are, these iconic characters that we see all the time in the Star Wars universe. That's the Yoda, Obi-Wan, Leia, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, and so much more. No, this story focuses on the grassroots characters of the Star Wars universe, the everyday average Joe citizen, if you will. Andor, our main character, at the end of the day, he is someone that started out by just looking out for himself and trying to make the best for his life and his family, and yet he was wrapped into this amazing rebellion that had him become a gatherer, someone that collects people as he goes. These characteristics of the show, I feel, made it so appealing to the everyday Star Wars watcher. I feel like this is the reason why it has done so well. It doesn't focus on the larger grand scheme things of the Empire, but the very small building blocks that make the Empire and the Star Wars universe what it is. I feel like in this line of thought, a TV show or movie that would do really well and combine the Galactic Empire with these tiny grassroots characters is a Star Wars show that focuses on orphans within this empire. In Andor, we're introduced to Dedra Meero. In Season 2, we find out that she is an orphan that was raised through the ranks of the Empire. This idea made me think about the hundreds, if not thousands, of characters that had to go through the exact same childhood and upbringing that Dedra had to. Now, she is such a complex character in Andor, and that is thanks to Tony Gilroy's excellent writing. But I believe this could be adapted and even reproduced to make even more insightful characters that really intrigue us. I mean, there are, as I said, hundreds, if not thousands, of characters that are going through this exact pipeline, and I feel like it wouldn't be anything crazy to highlight maybe 4 or 5 stories. Now, there are so many different ways you could do it. You could have each of these characters be on a different planet and be in their own story, or you could have them all be a group together and see the dynamic shift over time as some of them start to realize the realities of what the Empire is doing to other planets and other worlds. I feel like this would create such a great dichotomy of thinking and just ideas, and as well as personalities within these 4 or 5 characters. And I feel like if you really center the story around them, we would see how the Empire pipeline goes. I mean, usually when we are watching Star Wars content, it is always through the lens of the good guy, so to speak, except if we're talking about Tales of the Jedi or Tales of the Underworld that explore these more one-off stories that we've never really gotten to see before in the Star Wars universe. I absolutely loved when we saw the bad side and the evil side of it. I mean, I am a good-natured person, I would like to think so, but everyone is interested, especially the Star Wars fandom, of how the whole world goes. And I think that when we focus on the one aspect of only the bright, light, good side, while we did see this in the original trilogy and the prequels, we did kind of in the sequel trilogy get to see how Kylo Ren was on the Empire and this negative, the First Order side of things, how it was messing up his brain and he eventually turned to the good side. And I feel like this dynamic could be even stretched out and really magnified on a molecular level if we had 4 different case points or 4 different characters where we could really see how do each of their actions build up to becoming where they are. And I feel like you could kind of do the same time skip thing that Andor used, where you kind of take snapshots of each of their lives, maybe skipping a couple decades to see where they start out and where they end up. They can start out as kids that are abandoned by their parents, or maybe you can even add an element where their parents were abducted or taken by the Empire and they were forced into this orphanage, and you can over time have these characters find out about their history and their past and why their upbringing is so traumatic and how they've been living a lie the whole time. I feel like there is so much things that you can do here and so many insightful questions to be answered that I am just brimming with right now. Please let me know down in the comments if you would like me myself to fully flesh out this story and kind of come up with like a trial run and maybe even send it to Lucasfilms and see what they respond with. I feel like this would be a really cool project for me to really dome myself and immerse myself, I love that word, in the Star Wars universe and see what someone who's a fan can come up with. Because at the end of the day, the people who are making these shows were once fans. They were people who watched, they were in awe of the magic of the Star Wars universe, and now they're there making these decisions. So I feel like it is on us to be involved, and while we should do it in a positive light that isn't looking down upon the Star Wars universe, but looking for points of improvement or positivity that we can really build on, constructive feedback. And I feel like that is something that we are missing in this common day and age, where if it is not our idea, we are so quick to tear it down and to totally not give it a chance, which I think that sometimes is necessary when people aren't listening to us, the fans. But I feel like this would be such a cool initiative, so please let me know down in the comments below what you think. I'm looking forward to it, and as always, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.